Welcome to the Education and Training Best Practices for Charting Package Tutorial Series Video 2. Market Analyzers, the tabs involved in the Market Analyzer, the scanners that are created from the columns, the alerts, and the templates of the Market Analyzers themselves. And be sure to go over to the Members Area website, tradermembers.com, log in, go to Trader Tools Information, and Getting Started Best Practices. You'll find all the videos listed there on the Getting Started package, and some links are being added from the videos for new templates that we might create, where you can download those direct from that page. Thanks for watching our video, and be sure to subscribe to our channel while you're here. And if you're not already a member of our Active Trader Setups trading package, be sure to check out the other videos that are available here on our YouTube training channel. And visit activetradersetups.com, where you can find out more about our trade setups, our trigger prices on the charts, multiple day price advances. We're where we left off on our first video, and we're in our My Day Trading Quad one screen template workspace, and that can be downloaded from the Traders Tools area where the videos are located, and just copy it and place it into your workspace folder for NinjaTrader. We're going to take this a step further and work with the Market Analyzers, but before we proceed, I want to show you how to turn this into a multi-screen. If you want to now take what you have and build you some custom charts on another monitor, you would simply take one of these, right click, duplicate in a new window, and you pop this up. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that chart we just popped up, and we're going to create little quad charts, quad tabs, to go over and replicate into your second window. So of course you've got this new chart created. First thing you'd want to do is change your link here to another color. If you were going to do 4 or 5 of these, you'd want to, as soon as you start your first chart, you would want to change that color. And now that we've got that color changed, we're going to take and duplicate in a new tab, and then you see you brought your color with you. Now we can duplicate this again in another new tab, and then we can go back and change the data series so that we've got a complete set of data series. We right click, we clicked on data series. We're going to change this to a 10. If you were building this for swing trading purposes, then you would probably not have a 10. You would have a 25, a 50, and a 100, and maybe even a 200. If you're day trading, I actually have mine set the reverse of this. I actually have my 50 to my left, so I'm going to go back and make that consistent with what I've been doing. And then I have the 25, and the next one over I have a 10 and a 5. Now if you're trading very small price stocks, you may be day trading off that 10 and not need the 50 and just be with the 5, the 10, and the 25. Change this to my 5. So once you've created this quad, you can then take this, resize it, and move it over to your other monitor. Then you can repeat that process and you can create multiple little charts with their own unique colors. And for charts you're focused in on that you're watching, you may take half of the other monitor and then have some other things visible that you're using daily, like your trading platform and so forth. And then when I get on a stock, I say, okay, I'm watching it on this. I'm watching the 25. And then I'll move into the next lower level to time my entry into the trade that I've already decided on in the previous bigger time frame algorithm. And the same thing might be true if I were watching a 50 or a 100 on a swing trade. I wasn't connected to data's reason this is taking so long to load. Now this is a trade that I did a swing on 3 days ago. When it gets through loading the 50, you'll see that setup. What I use the 5 and the 10s for is to manage my stops. So if I'm day trading this stock and I've got a big run out from my 25, I'm not swing trading on the 25, I'm day trading. A lot of times I will use my 10 as my stop. And as it works its way along, I watch it coming back to the 10s. But if I'm way out above the 25 and I have sometimes you'll actually have a pullback that could be way more than this right here is about a 75 cent. It may even be $1.25 on a 10. And so that's when I'll use that 5. If I've got a big run going and I don't want to give back a lot of profit, I will start using my 5. Now I will not put my stop on the 5 just because it reaches whatever level the 5 may be. I will, and you can always see the value of that green line out in your right hand column. I will wait until it actually tells me in the column to the left that we're going to shift the trend, and I'll use that as my guide and try to stay in that bigger trade. But I don't want to give a lot of profit backs when I start tightening up my stops. And I'm not talking about having 30 cents profit. I'm talking about having maybe $1.80 and not wanting to give back 60 or 70 cents of that. If I've got a 30-cent profit, I'll give it all back because I want to make $1.30, not 30. Now, the way those just then you saw those pop up, if you remember from our previous video, when you've got these tabs and you move from chart to chart, we loaded this on the 50. So when the 50 loaded, all the things appeared. But if you're not in the tab at the time it does the loading, some of your scripts won't finish, and you just press F5 and it will rerun those scripts real quick and post those other items that might be missing from your chart. Something I hadn't showed you, that I showed you one part of this morning on another video, was your 2-panel, your template, how you reload that template. We did talk about that. You go down to templates, load, and you go find your template name and you reload one, like right here. Sometimes you may find a chart black. It's there, it shows the algo, and you're like, what's wrong with my chart? And maybe you can't even see what the template was. If you were right click on that chart and duplicate it in another tab, just like we did creating these, when it loads in that other tab, it may load up everything. And then you just simply take that replacement chart, slide it over next to the chart you just replaced, and then close that one out, and you're back where you started. And then make sure you save your workspaces after you do that. The next step we're going to take here is I'm going to save this workspace under another name. We're going to create a Qs and ETF trading workspace for day trading, and then we're going to actually modify the parts of the market analyzers to accommodate those charts. We're going to start by using this template we already have to create our next one. We're going to go down, the name of our template that we have open. Remember, the green square that's on top is the one we're looking at, and all the others with squares beside them are open, but that's not the one we're viewing. The one we're viewing has the green on top. So it's my day trading quad 1 screen. So we're going to do save as, and I'm going to go over and select that name because I want to use it as my, trying to help you keep all your workspaces that you use in one small group. I'm going to name this my. I'm going to keep that quad 1 screen in there to keep things consistent. It's actually not quad anymore, so I'm going to take the quad out. The quad was the number of charts we had. Now we've got 2 chart windows, so it's going to be my market ETF trader 1 screen. Now that we have that, the first thing we need to do, since we're going to be trading the Qs and the IWM and the SPY, maybe the TQs, triple Qs, these all trade pre-market, and we want to modify the data to accommodate that theory. All these have our data on our standard feature, which is regular trading hours, U.S. equities regular trading hours. We want all these to be on extended trading hours. Nothing else changes. We made a template in our previous video for that, and we can load that template by going down and finding our template, which is market, ETF, QQQ, SPY, and our chart templates. We're going to load that in. It's going to look exactly the same, except for the differences. Now our data series got changed to extended hours. Now if you don't yet have that created on your system, simply take this first chart we brought in, right click your chart, go to data series, change it by clicking on it, and the next to the bottom is extended trading hours. You have to apply, hit OK, and then you can right click. I'm going to duplicate that, see if I can show you something in just a moment. I'm going to bring this chart out here. You can right click this chart and say save as and name your template, which in our case we already had one named. That's what I named it, was the market ETF triple Q SPY, just as a good example that there's something different about this. It is still a 2-panel chart. So I'm going to cancel. I don't need to save it, but you can save it and then you'll have it for all your charts, and we'll go back over to this other chart and load that same template, so we'll have the extended trading hours on it as well. Now this one I'm going to go first. I'm going to show you again we have extended trading hours. I'm going to load the normal 2-panel, and now it changes the data back to regular trading hours. And I was going to show you the difference in this chart. Now this was Thursday and Friday, the last 2 days. Your day breaks are your dotted lines coming up and down. When this broke extended trading hours, you had a little different looking chart than you had back over here on the regular trading hours. I got on the wrong, I lost my, hold on, I just lost that chart. There we go. I popped that out just to look at. Now, this is your preference. This is going back many days. This is the 3rd. This is part of the 5th. 3rd was a short trading day, remember. So the 3rd ran up a little more pre-market than we're showing over here. I'm on the wrong chart, excuse me. I need to get back on the 25. Here's the third compared to the third right here. We had this little movement regular hours, and you can see we had a little more movement pre-market, and the last little bit was the regular hours. Then when we pull back right here, you can see the regular hours turned and did a little bounce and then headed back down. Well, look where we turned here by having extended hours in there. We actually pulled all the way to our line and held. So that's a little better piece of information. Now, it didn't run up from there. It ran up slightly, which is only a 50-cent move, and then it turned back down. Well, we're starting to arch our trend shift pivot zone line, and as it arched, it predicted along the way where it was going to go short, which ended up being way down here. And you know, we teach if you go over 3 factors, you should wait on the retracement. This was real deep in here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 factors in. So it went a little further, but it could have just as easily turned around and headed back up, lost this level, and come back down. But here is you a good retracement. It ran up, turned, and then turned back down at 8:22 a.m. the next morning, where you don't have that on the chart here. 8:22 the next morning, it did all this moving around, and it opened up that morning, and we went down on the 5th. As we opened, we continued down from that break in the pre-market, and then back up middle of the afternoon, about 1 o'clock, came back down by 2:15, and then bounced in this area, which that's this same bounce here. Toward the end of the day, we got that little run, and the same thing you have here. Now the next morning, by having the pre-market on there, this was actually after hours that it came back down, and the next morning it was heading back up early. This is 8:30 a.m., 8:30 a.m., 9:30, 8:30 here. Actually moved back down a little bit pre-market, and then as soon as the market opened, we headed straight up. And you don't see that over here because you don't have the pre-market action. So that gives you a comparison of those two charts. I'm going to close this one out and move this back where it goes. Now on all these charts we got pre-market loaded. We'll go to our workspace, and we do want to save this. And then on these charts over here, you got a 100. It's not linked in, but you still want to be consistent in your charting package, so you want to load your ETF extended hour chart on there, and the same thing on this 200. Just so you'll know everything in this particular workspace is consistent. I'm going to go back to here. This is our inflection chart. We want the 5 minute, in my opinion, running in real time and regular trading hours. So we've got yesterday's regular trading hours high. We got opens, we got closes that all had to do with regular trading hours. You may want to also have one with extended trading hours. I have in my other workspace that I trade off of an extended trading hours chart, so that I do have the highs and the lows that were posted pre-market, and actually the open pre-market as well. But I'm going to take this chart, and I'm just going to change the data series on the 25 algo and the 50 algo to extended hours to match our other charts here. I'm not changing the 5 minute. I'm leaving it on regular trading hours. If you wanted to duplicate this, I'm going to do it in a new window. For the moment, you could do it in a new tab and have them side by side, and you would want to go in and rename where you have inflection and put pre-market next to it. trading hours. Probably better to keep things consistent either way you prefer. And now this, I have to make the pre-market part on the 5-minute chart, so I'm going to do that. Click apply and OK. Now look at how your chart just got modified. Here was your pre-market we were looking at on that 25, where it ran up at 8:30 and then it pulled back. Look where it pulled back to. This was pre-market. So at 9:35, where it's already headed down at 9 o'clock right here, continues on down 9:15, 9:20. It's running into yesterday's high, which could have been pre-market or not. I believe it's regular hours, but it went right here to what was. Let's get us a box open. Look in your box over here for the blue line value right here. Current open 172.92. Current open on this chart was 173.29. So this is regular hours open. This is pre-market open. At 9:35 we went right down to that pre-market open price and we bounced. That will come into play many times. If you'll use that even on stocks, have you a pre-market chart. I use mine on my TC2000 platform, but it doesn't matter. You can set one of these charts pre-market. Always have your open and your close, because that pre-market open, if you're looking at some stock that was gapping, that pre-market action, those pre-market lows and pre-market highs and pre-market open and last night's close that was after hours, maybe on an earnings stock, well, they will come into play. They are still inflection points. So many times you'll have a stock that ran down, and I really like to look at 8 o'clock price action. I will actually draw a trend line, which I do it on TC2000, but you could do it here as well. Bring yourself down a line, just a horizontal line, and I will place that line on my pre-market high. Now this wasn't exactly the high because it's plotting the algos. Your 5-minute chart actually plotted it. You can see the little green dotted line. That was the actual high, is that green dotted line, and right over here it shows it to you. It says today's high. That's actually prior high. That's the day before. Current day, right down here, current high. So when you're holding your mouse right there, that was the current high, 173.64, and that was actually plotted by the 5-minute candle, not the algo. All these lines are plotted to the penny, so you would really want to put your line right up there. So what does that tell you when you see this breaking out? You hit the pre-market high. You can see it for yourself without even drawing a line. I'm going to try to get this line off the chart. There it is on your chart. It's plotting it for you. It plotted it pre-market. There's your pre-market high. I like to look at after 8 a.m. If I got a stock that's trading heavy volume pre-market, whether it be the Qs or any stock, I like to look at what happened at 8 a.m. because you'll get those big wicky candles. When a lot more traders can trade at 8 a.m., it'll make a big candle sometimes with a big wick up or a big wick down, or even both. It may make new highs and lows in a 5-minute candle that happen at 8 a.m. Those will come into play. That's where when it jerks that fast up and down and makes a huge wick pre-market, that's where the high-frequency computers were buying it or selling it at. That's why it quit going up, or that's why it quit going down. Those will be key inflection points during the day. When they get tested, many times they'll reject. So having you an extended hours chart is really huge, and I do have that. I don't have VWAP on it. This one does have the VWAP on it. You could take that off or strictly just go into your indicators, find the VWAP, which is listed right here, and just say invisible, apply. It's still on the chart, you're just not seeing it. Now you may want to use that VWAP that's calculated off pre-market volume. If you do, leave it visible. So now you have a inflection point chart that is pre-market. You probably want both of these, and then you can actually, the best way to do that, unless you want to view them on separate charts and you've got room to, is to build this right over here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to close this back out. I'm going right here. I'm going to duplicate, new tab. I got the same exact chart open way down here. I'm going to slide it back. You got to keep arrowing your way back. So now I've got my 5-minute inflection, and right next to it I'm going to rename this just like we did a moment ago. Extended trading hours inflection. I'm going to apply that, and I'm going to my data series, and all I got to change, because I already had the 25 algo and the 50 running extended hours, I got to change the 5 to extended trading hours. Apply that, and the only thing else you might want to do is, if you decide you want to take the VWAP off, take it off. If you want to see pre-market VWAP, leave it on. So now you got both the charts, regular hours and non-regular hours, they're side by side. So this is yesterday's high right here. It got replotted right down here, and then on your inflection chart, if those numbers happen to be the same, and we'll compare that, 173.06 was yesterday's high on the Qs, and we go back and we got the exact same number here. So it don't have to be extended hours, it could be. And if it's something you're running into early morning and you've got a pink line for a low, it might have been today's low. Remember, the smaller pink line is today's numbers, the bigger pink line is yesterday's numbers. And so if you're on the, here's your low regular hours, and when we go over to the extended trading hours, this was your low there. Now whether they were the same, again, we'd have to look. 172.58 versus, you can hold your mouse over, we lost our box, we get our box back, show data box. We want today's low, current low, $173. We go over to the inflection chart, current low, 172.58. So you had a lower low pre-market, and if you go down and visit that low many times, that will be inflection. So that's the reason you want both of those. And you, like I say, you can apply this to stocks that have heavy volume pre-market. Stocks that just tick around and make 400 or 500 shares here and there on random little plots don't mean anything. It has to have volume and be trading if you want to be looking at a pre-market chart. But I trade off of a pre-market chart. I'm looking at a 5-minute and a 10-minute in regular time, but I'm always looking at a pre-market chart, so I'll see these indicators here regardless of what I'm trading, stocks or ETFs. So now we've made some more changes to our setup. We want to change that, save that, and we're going to move on in to the scanners and the alerts and everything that's talked about in this market analyzer in our next step here. One more item you're going to want to have day trading, and especially trading these Qs and IWM and the SPY and that kind of thing, is you need to get your advanced decline line chart somewhere that you can see. It don't have to be large, but it needs to be visible. So I'm going to take this chart, and I'm just going to duplicate it in a new window real quick. And we have a template already built in the system for this. Go down to load template, and there's one called ADV basic. That's the advanced line, not the advanced decline, just the advanced. And then we have one that's a duplicate with the SPY on it. I prefer the one by itself. And then this is another chart that is the advanced decline doubled up together, the difference in the two. And this is run on 1,000 or a 2,000 algo chart. The basic is run on our normal charts, which is just your advanced line only. So as the advanced line changes directions, then that means there were more decliners started coming in. So I just use that primarily. I do like to look at both. If you have room, open both. If you don't open both. But you got to remember, on the ADD, it needs to be an algo chart at 1,000 or at 2,000. The ADV, we use the same setups. And then you have to load your symbol. Your symbol for ADV, you can right click, go to instruments, go down to indexes, and there the both of them are. It's the hyphen ADV. You have many other things you can choose from over here, and that's going to load that in on this chart. And it's already got our presets for extended hours or whatever. That's already built in your template. You don't have to worry about that. It's actually regular trading hours. As you can see, same 100 bar, same 25. I duplicated that in a new tab, added data for the 10. The 10 is just your quickest movements back and forth. It's going to show you more chop, of course, but sometimes when it's not that choppy and the market's actually in a huge sell and it's just continuing, this will be your first indication when the market comes into the flexion point, maybe like 50-day or something like that. You may get that bounce, but this is your bigger trend, and I actually use it on a 50 as well. If one's real choppy, I go to the other, and you can see this just absolutely Friday. It turned up here and just walked. Now I don't have a line drawn where it changed color. Mostly I don't have the indicators up here because we're not trading this. We don't care what the value is. We want to know what the trend is, and we want to know about the strength. So that's why you don't see the markers. They're just taking up space. It also allows you to have a much smaller chart. So now we can take this chart, we can get it tiny, and we can move it maybe down here. Find a little small place somewhere on your chart, your system, to put this, and then you can switch back and forth, and you can squeeze it out. You can look at more of it, and that's exactly what I would do. I can click properties in this edge right here, and I can add a little room at the top there and the bottom and get those candles to pull back a little bit. But you want to know about the bigger trend on this. It doesn't really matter about the dots exactly if you can see them. You know, if you can have a little bigger chart where you can see a little better, that's great, but it don't matter. But mainly I want you to know about the trend changing direction. Be better to have a much clearer view here when it comes into play, because it works just like a chart. When it breaks down, it revisits and it falls, and that's what you've got setting up here. You can see the bigger trend. Now we need to unlink this from the color. It just stays by itself and it doesn't change, and the same thing over here. So now we've got those in our spot here, and we're going to save our workspace again. And we can just get back to the Qs, IWM. If you've got room and you want to watch, you may want to make yourself a quad of just these charts and be looking at the 10 or the 25 on the Qs, the SPYs, the IWM all at the same time. I actually use the 10 most of the time on the SPY, and the Qs, that'll come into play a lot. But your 25 is your bigger trend, and you can see the day before we broke into the bigger trend to go up, and that's exactly what we did the next morning. Your T triple Q, you can plot as well, and you can make yourself a watch list right here and have just your 5 or 6 symbols that you're trading or watching, and just be constantly switching back and forth through them. Now we're going to talk about making this work over here, and you're going to learn about the market analyzer. You're going to learn about the scanners and the tabs and how they work. I'm going to make this bigger so we can see well. It's trying to load the triple Qs up. It's a really, really nice run on that chart from 58 all the way up to 61 on the triple Qs with never a blink from the open there. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see what we got going on here. You have multiple tabs, and these are all made for stocks. And we're going to learn more about using those, what they're designed for, a little bit in this video as we build what we're going to build here, and what you can use these for intraday. All of these are set for stocks. So what makes these work is how they're set. They're set just like a chart. So this is a 10, 25, and a 50. And this is a 25 saying long watch, meaning that the box is on the chart saying we can head up. So if let's just put a symbol in here that for our Qs. Oh, I ended up putting cat down here. And this is what the 1X means. It means you have the 1X box on the chart saying we got a long watch. That's what that means, long watch active. See if I can get the Q's in there now and get rid of this other line. And I'm going to unlink this in a moment as soon as I can, so that they don't interfere with our work we're doing here. I've got that unlinked up there now. We're going to pull this down more center screen. We're going to remove cat by highlighting and pressing the delete button. We're going to delete those missed typo here. Put the Q's in. We put the TQ in. We can put the IWM in. And we can put the SPY in. Now these are going to load, but they're not going to be accurate because they're not tied to the extended trading hours. So we're going to learn what we can do with these tabs. All these tabs are created with columns, and then the columns are used to build alerts. That's why it works like a scanner. As I build the columns, I define that I want the word strong here when this is green on the chart, and I don't want anything here, so it just shows a number when it's not, and if it's red it shows weak in red. But what we don't have, we're waiting on a couple more loaders out here on the 50. And over here I have it say long watch active or short watch active, whatever the case is, when we have those boxes on the chart saying, if it's long watch active, then right now your line is just going to turn it green if this long watch triggers, and vice versa. In the case that it zeros, that means it's false. There's no long watch there. When it'll shift from 0 to 1 when it's true, and it'll show it. And this is only a 1X long watch. It won't show you a 2X. It's just the 1X box. And when it goes negative, it'll tell you if there's a short watch there. So it's 1X, 25 watts for short or long. It'll say short watch active in red when it's a short watch on the chart. Now we've got these loaded, and I'm going to right click the chart and show you the alerts that are already built into this. We're going to talk a lot about them for a minute because we're going to look at them again in a second, but they're all in here. A 10X strong, a 10X weak, 25, 50, and they're all on. Many times I will have the 10X in the charts, but I'll have it unchecked, not active, for something like a green force crossover. All these are in, and then it actually has an alert that tells you pre-trigger when that long watch becomes true. So when that 0 crosses above, I got it at 0.5, it's going from 0 to 1, from false to true. And when it goes to true, it actually will tell you there's a long watch active on the chart and give an alert off. Now you don't want to scan for this, you want to monitor this when you're dealing with a small list of stocks that you're already interested in. and then you have one for the short as well, where it goes down. In this case, this is not true false. I have this custom built. A 1 is true to the long side, a -1 is true to the south side, to the short side. And we have these alerts built with sounds. If you don't like sounds, you can take them off by just clicking on it and clicking remove. You can't silence it, you have to take it off. After you remove, click apply, and it'll remember you took it off. The rest of the scan stays intact, and the high-low part of this priority is what determines which one of these boxes up here is going to show up in. We're going to clear this out. I right-clicked and click clear. And so when these go off, all of these are set to run in this window in the focus alerts, and it's set to a priority of high. And it's also set not to bring anything from another workspace into this one, only this one. So you've got your market analyzer, but what we don't have, and all these are built the same, they have columns now. We have columns. So we look at our columns, and what our columns are made up of is the force. So we go to, these are indicators. So let me show you one more thing we hadn't talked about. We did in another video, and I don't want you to remember this. So I'm just going to kind of move this out of the way for just a second. Here's our chart. We right click, we go to indicators. All of our indicators are right here in this folder. And this is your momentum indicator. This is momentum 1 bar ago. This is the trend shift trigger. That's the long watch, short watch box that pops up in and out. That's our projection. This is our algo plot. This is a floating Fibonacci that's on some of these charts. We'll show that. We'll be talking about those at another time. This is our force alert, and we have force 1 bar ago. And the reason we have these 1 bar goes in here is when we're running scanners, we can check something crossing from not green to green, but if you don't have 1 bar ago, during the next bar, as the stock wiggles around, it'll keep sending the same alert over and over and over again because it's wiggling in and out and it's not staying green throughout the entire building of the next bar. So I had these custom built to eliminate duplicate alerts. And same thing on our trend shift pivot zone. That's our red and green line turning from red to green. Well, we want to know if it shifted from red to green. We want to know that it was not green the bar before. And this is our actual plot. This is the builder for that plot. They're two different things. The plot just goes on the chart. This can go on the chart or in the alert builder. Mostly it goes in the columns for alert builders. This is just our price marker. It goes up in the side, your ZR marker. And then our report builders used elsewhere. The last zone is the one that makes the prices come on the chart when the crossover takes place and plots the little blue line with the amount on it. Now to use these in columns, that's for charts. When we get back to our columns and we're wanting to use our indicators, we right click the columns, our folder's gone. You have to go down into the list. Some of the columns you see on the end of day, you see the word end of day close, end of day alert builder, this TSP pivot zone. Some of these are in the end of day columns. They show up here because they're a different kind of indicator. All the others you have to go down, click on the word indicator, say add. It will add it down here in what's configured, and then you go to indicator, click, and you'll go down and you'll find our folder, and then you can go inside the folder and select what is needed. Now we're not adding anything to these, so I'm going to remove that and click apply and go back out for the moment. Now that's everything that's included. Now what I want to show you again, just on the columns, we have the force 1. The force is the yellow to green. We got it on the 10, the 25, the 50, and then we have the projected trend shift, which is what indicates there is a box on the chart saying long watch or short watch. Plot 1 is 1x, plot 2 is 2x. So we just have the 1x, but all of these are set to our normal settings. This is set to STS Algo 25, regular trading hours, 100 bars. And it's got a label that I wrote in here. And then each one of them the same way. We have a 50 force, regular trading hours, our regular algo, regular 100 bars. All these are just standard setups, just like we use for data on the charts. So it's basically reading the chart. Now that we have these columns in place, that's when we go build the alerts from the columns. Now when you do anything like this, customizing yourself, make sure that the names you project up here are what you see here. Many times when you try to put a custom label, it'll mess up. You'll have to go back and like remove one letter, add a letter, go back and forth with it till you can get it to stay on there. You want it to stay on there like you're going to want it going forward before you build alerts. When you build alerts, our conditions are looking for the objects that we have labeled. So here's the list of the columns, and that's what it looks for. But what we want to do now is replicate this or change it. So what I always do is duplicate. Now you can save. One thing we hadn't talked about is the templates. Let me show you that very quickly. So this is our market analyzer. This is our tab. The scanners are created by those alerts we've been looking at, which are built off these columns we've been looking at. Now to have a template, you can right click, save as, and this one's named hot list. I always name them whatever the columns are, and it should be hot list. This hot list is the exact setup if you went into another workspace and you wanted to load this column set. You could do that by clicking your plus button to get you a new market analyzer. You could right click, load, go find hot list, and it will load that exact column set. And this was incorrect. It's something we corrected in another upload. It should be correct now on yours, but if you do load it and it says 1 times 50, it's actually is on the 25. It's just labeled wrong. It is on the 25 algo. It just needs to say 25 right here. And now it does. It shifted the columns over. When it did that, this is the hardest thing in the world to get like you want it. I'm just going to resave that so it'll be right on my thing later. It's already right in the last update. Now, what you don't get is alerts. Alerts cannot be saved in NinjaTrader. You have to build them one by one. Now you can open your previous alerts and see what they were and build by scratch on your own from one workspace into another. You could take this and do a screenshot and then refer to your screenshot as you build this. All this stuff has to be built with these pull downs and so forth, or you could copy and paste, but you can't have two workspaces open at the same time, so you can't copy and paste that. Now I'm going to show you how to get the alerts in there, since as long as you're not in another workspace. If you take an existing in the same workspace column, which is a market analyzer template, and you can right click this and say duplicate in a new tab. I'm going to take the one we loaded a minute ago and get it out of here. Now we've duplicated this in a new tab. If I want to slide it over by the other end, I have to hold my mouse down and start moving it. You can only move as far as you can see. So you want to arrow over a little more and move it again. Now I'm going to name this. I'm going to right click and rename. It's extended trading hours, and I'm going to apply that. What we did by duplicating that, as long as we're in the same workspace, is we brought our alerts with us. They're not active, they just need to be enabled. So you go through each one, check to enable them. They carried over from our duplication. Now we need to click apply. All of those are on, but now we need to make them actually be on extended trading hours. Go to columns, click on your column for each one and change it to extended trading hours. It's just that simple. Because we're going to be running this on these Qs and others. ETFs. Go click apply. It's taking it a moment to do that. It's also going to reload all this stuff because we changed it. We hit OK, and now it's recalculating because it's now having to load with pre-market, after hours, extended trading, pre-market, after hours data. Now if you wanted to save this just for column's sake as a market analyzer template, you would want to name it exactly what your tab is, ETH hot list, so you know it's different. I'm not going to save it. Now your alerts are still intact. We're going to double check that. We didn't, if you rename the labels, you mess all this up. We didn't rename any labels. And you'll go back, if you ever rename a label, you can go back to your alert, and when you click on it, it'll still show that label even though it's not there anymore. When you go to edit, you have to remember what you're wanting to replace this with, the new name, and you come over here, your columns won't be expanded because that name's not there. And you'll expand your columns, find your new name, click it in place, and your alert, the rest of it didn't change. Well, we don't have to change anything because we didn't rename any columns. We just strictly changed it how the column was loaded to extended trading hours. So now we have an extended trading hour hot list. That can be done for each and every one of these to extended trading hours. What these can be used for now. The alerts will go off in the message box with or without sound, whatever you decide, for all these conditions that you have checkmarked enabled. So if you're watching your stocks and you want to know when the Qs has a 1x shift from red to green come up or vice versa, you load these few symbols in here. Or when you're doing regular day trading in your other workspace, any stocks that you are watching is what this is designed for, and we're going to have a video all about that. This is designed for very short list of stocks, and they go and make the alerts come out just in this one column for focus alerts, because this is our focus workspace. And anything you put in here, we're going to discuss what these all do later, will actually alert in this box. For short list of stocks, you don't want long list of stocks in here. This is a stock that you've been watching and you're waiting on it to flip the 10 from red to green. You load it in here, and when it gets the force come into that, it will alert you when that force line goes from yellow to green on the 10, the 25, and the 50. They're all pre-built. If the 25 shifts from red to green, it'll give you this long watch on the chart alert. Double X focus. All that is these two blue lines. This right here is not a double X. It was blue to begin with, and then the second blue joined the line. This is a double X. We had two yellows shift to two blues. And when that happened, if you had that symbol, loaded in this list, it will send an alert out that says XX momentum, exactly when this happens. And on this chart, that happened right here. And then the momentum maintained itself. Even though this pulled back, our momentum never changed. So you've got, when this went green, this was at lunchtime on the 5th, and you got to remember this day we closed early. No, this was Thursday, excuse me, we didn't close early. It got momentum, so it was long biased at the time it tripped the momentum. Even though it went up another 25 cents, and then it came back down 75 cents, it continued on back up into the long that it indicated that momentum by. That's not always the case, but most of the time it is. Right here, as this come down, it did continue on down, and even when it retested, it continued down again. It had to overcome the downward bias for that morning there. So we've learned how to do now to duplicate, create another criteria of these columns to extended hours, modified our alerts to do the same thing, and we have a new tab for extended hours. So we've talked about the tabs, we've talked about the scanners, what makes them work, we talked about the alerts, and we talked about the template. That's what I was trying to accomplish in this video. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every one of these and change the columns to extended hours. I'm going to rename them extended hours, which is going to make all the alerts work on only extended hours. I'm going to resave this workspace with everything in here being on extended hours, just like we've set it up so far, and it'll be available on the tools part of the website. This workspace will be available right below this video, and you'll be able to download this workspace and bring it directly in to your system. This concludes this video, Best Practices for Charting Package Tutorial Series video number 2, talking about the market analyzer, the tabs, the scanners, the alerts, and the templates within. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel while you're here. And if you're not a subscriber to our charting package, go over to activetradersetups.com. You can read more about it in the products pages, how the charts work and so forth, and you can find links to other videos, and you can also go to contact us and see our free trial information. Thanks for watching again.